Sometimes life gives us people so rare, so extraordinary, that we don't even notice what we have until it's almost gone. And in that quiet, unbearable moment, when clarity hits harder than regret ever could, you realize something no one can replace. A presence, a soul, a woman like her never comes twice. Sometimes life moves so fast that we don't even notice the little things that matter the most. We rush through days, lost in work, distractions, responsibilities, and yet there are people who quietly leave an imprint on our hearts without even demanding our attention. She was one of those people. The subtlety of her presence, it's not the kind of thing you notice at first. You might not even realize it at the time. But slowly, quietly, she changes the way you breathe, the way you think, the way you live. She wasn't loud. She didn't have to be. There was no dramatic gesture that screamed for your attention. She didn't fill a room with noise or force her way into your life. She simply existed in the spaces between moments, in the corners of ordinary days, and yet her existence made everything feel extraordinary. It's strange, really, how someone so understated can leave such an indelible mark. Imagine the mornings when you thought you were alone, just sipping your coffee, scrolling through your phone, trying to shake off a restless night. She would send a simple message, a line or two, not asking anything, not expecting anything, just a small note that said, "I see you." And that's all it took. That small, almost invisible gesture, it could lift the weight of a day. It could make the world feel a little softer, a little warmer, a little more bearable. That's the subtlety of her presence, an invisible thread holding together moments you didn't realize were falling apart. She didn't need to perform kindness. She didn't need recognition. She didn't even need you to notice. But somehow, without fanfare, she made your life better just by being in it. Think about that for a moment, how rare it is for someone to exist in your life without taking, without demanding, without seeking attention, and yet enrich every corner of your existence. She doesn't announce her value. She just quietly proves it through the consistency of her being. And it's easy to overlook that at first, isn't it? When someone's presence isn't loud or flashy, we sometimes mistake subtlety for insignificance. We fail to see the strength in quiet, the impact of gentle, the beauty of unwavering support. Yet, the truth is, the most profound influences are often the ones that whisper rather than shout. She is proof of that. She moves through the world like a current beneath the surface, soft, almost invisible, but strong enough to shift everything it touches. There are ordinary days she makes extraordinary. A bad morning becomes a little lighter because she remembered to ask how you slept. A stressful afternoon is softened by her calm presence on the phone. A lonely evening feels warmer because she somehow sensed your need for connection even when you didn't reach out. She teaches you, without trying, that presence is more than being physically there. It's an energy, a care, a patience that creates meaning in the small spaces of life. Studies in psychology tell us that consistent, subtle acts of kindness have a lasting impact on emotional well-being. People often remember how they felt around someone more than what was said or done. And she understood this without textbooks or lectures. She understood it intuitively. She had this remarkable ability to make you feel seen, to make you feel valued, to make you feel alive, all through small, unassuming gestures. And isn't that the kind of presence we all crave? Not the noise, not the spectacle, but the quiet assurance that someone is there and they care. There's something almost sacred about noticing her, truly noticing her in the ordinary moments. It's in the way she laughs at nothing, in the way she tilts her head when she's listening, in the way she remembers tiny details about your life that you forgot you even mentioned. It's subtle, yes, but it's the kind of subtlety that hits harder than any grand gesture because it's woven into the fabric of everyday life. And yet, the tragic thing is how easy it is to take this for granted. You might walk past it thinking, she's just being nice, she's just being friendly. But over time, The realization hits like a slow dawn. You begin to understand that her presence wasn't ordinary at all. It was rare. In a world full of temporary connections, fleeting attention, and performative interactions, she offered a stability, a constancy, a quiet devotion that doesn't come around often. Think about the people who leave our lives unnoticed, who disappear without a trace, and yet we feel a void where they once were. That's the weight of her subtlety. When she's gone, the silence she leaves behind is deafening. Because while she was there, the ordinary felt sacred, the mundane felt meaningful, and the lonely felt bearable. And now, without her, you realize how much she filled your life, not with noise, not with extravagance, but with something far more precious: her quiet, enduring presence. Her subtlety is also her strength. She doesn't need to prove herself. She doesn't need to demand attention to validate her worth. She simply is, and that is enough. And the truth is, that kind of presence shapes you. You carry it with you long after she's gone. You start to notice the beauty in small things, the power in quiet moments, and the importance of being genuinely there for others. You learn, through her, what it means to affect someone's life without even trying. So when you look back, you understand. You see that she was never loud, but she was always significant. You see that she didn't shout, but she was always heard. You see that she didn't demand your attention, but she had your heart. And that's the moment you realize the subtlety of her presence wasn't a weakness. It was the most extraordinary thing you'll ever encounter. And it's the kind of presence that doesn't come twice. There comes a moment in life when you begin to notice the rare kind of understanding that cannot be taught or earned. It can only be given freely, genuinely, and without expectation. That understanding is a quiet force, one that changes the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, and ultimately, the way you see her. The depth of her understanding is not something that announces itself. It does not demand attention. It simply exists, and it reshapes everything around it, often before you even realize it. You remember the times you were at your worst, times when your thoughts were scattered, when fear or doubt had taken over, when the weight of the world felt unbearable. She noticed those moments, not because you shouted about them, not because you posted them for everyone to see, but because she was truly present. She saw through the walls you built, past the defenses you thought protected you, and straight into the essence of who you were. And in that seeing, there was no judgment, no criticism, no expectation. There was only understanding. And that is a rare gift. Many people go through life seeking validation, recognition, affirmation. We want to be acknowledged, to be celebrated, to be praised. But what she offers is something different. She offers insight. She offers empathy. She offers comprehension of the kind that heals, of the kind that doesn't ask you to change, but rather helps you see who you really are, beneath the masks, beneath the pretenses. It's a recognition of the truth that often we ourselves cannot fully admit, that we are flawed, yet deserving of compassion, that we are scared, yet capable of courage, that we are lost, yet capable of finding our way. You begin to notice it in subtle ways, in the way she asks questions not to interrogate, but to understand, in the way she listens, not just to your words, but to your silences, your pauses, the unspoken fears that hide behind them. She hears the thoughts you don't speak aloud and responds with a clarity that surprises you. She has this uncanny ability to take your chaos and help you see order within it, not by solving your problems for you, but by helping you see the patterns, the possibilities, the paths you had overlooked. And it's not just the big moments where her understanding matters. It's in the small ones too. The time when you fumble over something trivial, but it bothers you more than you expected, and she notices. The moment when you laugh to cover up pain, and she sees the cracks behind the smile. The times when you say one thing, mean another, and she knows exactly what you're trying to say. It's like she carries a map of your inner world, even when you've forgotten the landmarks yourself. And that kind of comprehension, that intuitive connection, is far rarer than anyone realizes. You might not even recognize it at first. You might take it for granted, thinking anyone could do the same. But soon enough, the truth becomes unavoidable. You see it in the way your decisions change when she's there, in the way your thoughts align when you talk to her, in the way your life feels lighter because she knows, really knows, how to hold space for you. It's as though she has this gift of walking alongside your mind, not ahead of it, not behind it, but alongside it, guiding it gently without steering it forcefully. Psychologists have studied empathy and understanding for decades, and their research confirms what you feel intuitively. Deep understanding is transformative. When someone truly sees you, your fears, your hopes, your contradictions, it fosters trust, confidence, and emotional resilience. It helps you confront your own truth, even the parts you've tried to hide. And that is exactly what she does. She reflects your true self back to you in a way that makes you stronger, braver, and more honest than you were before. It is in that reflection that the depth of her understanding becomes painfully clear. She doesn't just know the surface, the easy parts. She knows your struggles, the ones you think no one else could comprehend. She knows your insecurities, your moments of doubt, the times you've been too scared to act. And she holds those truths with care, without trying to fix them, without making you feel broken. She validates your experience, acknowledges your humanity, and in doing so, allows you to see yourself differently. There is a story I think about often. Two people in a room, one feeling utterly defeated after a failure that seemed to define them. The other simply sits there, listening, offering no advice, no judgment, just presence. And in that space, a transformation begins. The defeated person begins to breathe again, to feel again, to think clearly again. That is the power of true understanding. It doesn't come in grand speeches or dramatic gestures. It comes quietly, consistently, without recognition, and yet its impact lasts a lifetime. That is what she gives, and that is why her absence is felt so profoundly when she is no longer there. You begin to realize that she understood you in ways no one else could. Friends, family, colleagues, they may have cared, but they didn't see. Strangers may have sympathized, but they didn't comprehend. She did both. She saw and she understood. And with that understanding came patience. She didn't rush you, didn't push you to be someone you weren't. She simply held space for you to grow, to learn, to stumble, and to rise again. And in that patience, there was freedom, the freedom to be human, the freedom to make mistakes, the freedom to finally accept yourself. And that is why her understanding leaves an indelible mark, because it isn't just a comfort. It isn't just a kindness. It's a catalyst for growth, for change, for becoming more fully who you were meant to be. When you encounter someone like this, you recognize that the world is different when they are part of it. The air feels lighter. The burdens feel smaller. The path forward feels possible. And once you have felt that kind of understanding, you realize that it's rare, nearly impossible to replicate. It is a gift that cannot be imitated, cannot be replaced. You begin to understand, finally, that a woman who understands you at this depth is not someone who comes into your life by accident. She is rare, she is extraordinary, and she is irreplaceable. You cannot manufacture her presence, cannot demand it, cannot find it elsewhere. And when the realization strikes that she may not always be there, the weight of it is almost unbearable. It is a quiet, aching awareness that changes you, shapes you, and lingers with you long after the moment has passed. Her depth of understanding is not just an attribute. It is a force. It reshapes perspectives, heals old wounds, nurtures growth, and creates a bond that cannot easily be broken. And yet, it is subtle. She does not wield it as power. She offers it as a gift. And it is in this gift, this profound, patient, and unwavering understanding, that you finally see how rare she truly is, and why a woman like this never comes twice. There's a force in the world that cannot be faked, cannot be imitated, and cannot be diluted. It is quiet, yet magnetic. It doesn't shout for attention, and it doesn't demand admiration. Yet it draws people in because it is real. That force is authenticity, and when someone embodies it fully, when she is completely herself without apology or pretense, it leaves a mark on everyone she touches. The power of her authenticity is not immediately obvious. In fact, at first, it may seem ordinary, almost unremarkable. But slowly, day by day, it changes the way you see the world and the way you see her. She doesn't try to fit into the expectations of others. She doesn't bend or twist herself to be more likable, more accepted, more tolerated. She doesn't perform kindness or affection for recognition. She simply is who she is in every moment, and she does it unapologetically. And in a world where so much feels manufactured, where people hide their imperfections behind curated images and rehearsed words, her authenticity is striking. It is rare, it is extraordinary, and it has a power that cannot be measured, only felt. You notice it in the way she moves through life with confidence that isn't loud or boastful. She doesn't have to announce her presence. She doesn't need to demand admiration or approval. She doesn't rely on appearances to define her worth. And yet, because she is entirely herself, she becomes unforgettable. Think about all the people you meet who try to impress you, who fill rooms with noise, who demand attention with their words or actions. They are easily forgotten. But she leaves a lingering impact because her power is quiet, steady, and genuine. It doesn't depend on circumstance or validation. It depends on truth. Her authenticity teaches lessons without even trying. You watch her interact with the world and realize that being real is stronger than being perfect. She embraces her flaws, acknowledges her mistakes, and owns her choices, even the ones that were difficult or unpopular. And in doing so, she frees you to do the same. There's a subtle courage in living honestly, a quiet rebellion against a world that pressures you to conform, to hide, to compromise. Watching her live fully and truthfully, you start to question the masks you wear, the walls you build, and the persona you've created to be accepted. There's an energy to authenticity that cannot be faked. When she speaks, people listen, not because she demands it, but because they feel the truth in her words. When she acts, people follow, not because she commands it, but because they sense the integrity behind every decision. And when she loves, people remember, not because she performs it, but because it is genuine, raw, and wholehearted. Authenticity, in her case, is magnetic. It draws people toward her naturally, effortlessly, without manipulation. And once you've experienced it, it becomes painfully clear how rare and precious it truly is. You begin to notice the subtle ways her authenticity affects you. She doesn't criticize to control or manipulate. She doesn't agree just to please. She doesn't hide her emotions to maintain appearances. Instead, she allows herself to feel deeply, to express fully, to exist in her truth. And by witnessing that, you start to feel safe to do the same. There's a liberation in that, a relief in knowing that someone else is real, someone else doesn't pretend, someone else doesn't filter their life through the expectations of others. You begin to understand that the world feels heavier when people hide, and lighter when they reveal themselves honestly. Think about the people who change your life, not through gifts or grand gestures or loud proclamations, but through the sheer force of being true to themselves. That is what she does. She doesn't need to chase your attention. She doesn't need to earn your approval. She doesn't need to perform. She simply is, and in being herself, she leaves an imprint on the hearts of everyone she encounters. That is the power of authenticity, an invisible influence that shapes lives without anyone realizing it until it is gone. There's a story I remember, a simple moment, yet it illustrates this perfectly. Two people sit in a quiet cafe. One is guarded, hesitant, unsure of how to be. The other, fully present, fully herself, speaks and laughs with a freedom that makes the first person pause. There's no effort, no performance, no attempt to impress, just truth. And in that moment, the first person feels something they haven't felt in a long time: relief, acceptance, inspiration. That is the force of authenticity. It doesn't need grand stages or recognition. It simply exists and changes everything around it. Her authenticity also carries a quiet strength. There is bravery in showing yourself completely, in being vulnerable, in refusing to conform. It takes courage to be true in a world that rewards pretense, and that courage is contagious. Watching her live openly, honestly, and unapologetically gives you permission to examine your own life. It forces you to confront the ways you've hidden, the masks you've worn, the compromises you've made to please others. And in that reflection, you begin to grow, you begin to change, you begin to see why someone like her is impossible to replace. People come into your life, and they leave, and often you forget them. But the ones who are truly authentic leave a mark that lingers. They teach you more than lessons, they show you possibilities. They show you a way of living that is real, unfiltered, and free. And when they are gone, you realize how rare and extraordinary they were. You remember the moments when you laughed freely because she was unafraid to laugh. You remember the times when you spoke honestly because she spoke honestly first. You remember the quiet reassurance of seeing someone live completely and authentically, and you understand that such a presence cannot be duplicated. Her authenticity does not ask for recognition, but it demands respect. It does not seek validation, but it earns it. It does not need to prove anything, yet it teaches everything. And once you see it, once you feel its depth, you cannot forget it. You understand why life feels different with her in it, why moments are richer, why emotions are fuller, why the ordinary becomes extraordinary. She is real, she is brave, she is rare, and that rarity is the essence of her power. When you reflect, you begin to see why authenticity matters more than charm, more than beauty, more than talent, more than even kindness. Charm fades, beauty fades, talent can be learned, kindness can be performed, but authenticity is timeless. Authenticity leaves an echo in the hearts of everyone it touches, and in the presence of someone like her, you learn that the world is not the same after you encounter her. You are not the same after you encounter her, and that is why the power of her authenticity is unforgettable, because in a world filled with imitation, masks, and fleeting attention, she is a force of nature simply by being real. She changes lives without effort, inspires without trying, and leaves a mark that endures long after she has left the room. She is rare, she is extraordinary, and once you experience it, you understand that someone like her does not come twice. There comes a moment in life that arrives quietly, without warning, yet it hits with the weight of inevitability. It's not announced. There are no alarms or signs. You might be walking through an ordinary day, thinking everything is as it always has been, when suddenly, something shifts inside you. It's a realization, a sharp, unmistakable clarity. And in that moment, everything you thought you understood about yourself, about someone else, about the world changes. That moment, when you truly see what you've had, what you've lost, or what you've failed to notice, is more powerful than any lesson you could have learned slowly. It often comes in silence. Perhaps you're sitting alone, or maybe you see her in a setting that once felt familiar but now feels distant. You catch a glimpse of her laughter, a flash of her smile, and suddenly your mind is flooded with memories. The conversations you took for granted, the way she made ordinary days feel extraordinary, the way she held space for you without judgment. And in that quiet reflection, you feel it, the undeniable truth that you have been gifted something rare, something that cannot be replaced, something you may never encounter again. This moment of realization is rarely dramatic at first. It's subtle, almost unnoticeable, until it grows inside you like a pulse that cannot be ignored. You begin to remember all the times she stood by you without making a scene. You recall the small gestures that once seemed insignificant, a text sent at the perfect moment, a glance that understood your unspoken thoughts, a hand offered without demand, and suddenly, the ordinary moments become extraordinary. You see her impact not in grand gestures, but in the subtle, steady presence she had in your life. And you understand for the first time that presence like hers is irreplaceable. The moment often hits hardest when you realize she doesn't need you as much as you need her. She continues to thrive, to grow, to exist fully in the world, whether you are part of it or not. That is when the weight of her rarity sinks in. She does not define herself by your attention. She does not measure her worth by your recognition. She is complete in herself, and that completeness is both beautiful and terrifying because it reminds you of what you have overlooked, what you have neglected, what you may have taken for granted. And in that realization, regret often appears not as a loud accusation, but as a quiet ache in the chest that grows with each passing memory. There are moments when it comes as a direct confrontation with reality. Perhaps she has moved on, perhaps she has chosen a path that no longer intersects with yours, and you watch from the sidelines, feeling the sharp sting of what could have been. Or perhaps she is still present in your life, yet you can no longer ignore the truth of her value, the truth of her influence, the truth of the light she brought into your world. And in either scenario, the realization is the same: she is one of a kind, and her presence is not something that repeats itself. That clarity can be both humbling and devastating. You might remember the times you misunderstood her, the times you dismissed her intuition, the times you assumed she would always be there, no matter what. Life has a way of teaching us lessons that we cannot unlearn, and this is one of the most profound. The moment of realization often carries a mixture of sorrow and awe, because you are confronted with two truths at once: the depth of her uniqueness and the impossibility of recreating it. You recognize that she shaped your life in ways you cannot replicate, and that the opportunity to fully appreciate her may have already passed. This moment is often accompanied by an intense emotional clarity. You feel the weight of your own choices, your own distractions, your own failures to notice. You recall the times when her patience saved you from despair, when her encouragement inspired you to take risks, when her understanding gave you strength you didn't know you had. And in that reflection, you realize how profoundly she influenced your life, often without intention, often without fanfare. The recognition is overwhelming because you finally see the truth of what her presence meant and still means. Sometimes the realization comes with subtle comparisons. You meet people who are kind, people who are beautiful, people who seem to understand. And yet, none of them measure up. None of them carry the quiet, steady force of her authenticity. None of them offer the same combination of empathy, intuition, patience, and strength. And it is in that comparison that you understand why some connections are rare, why certain people enter your life only once, and why, no matter how much you search, you may never find another like her. You begin to see patterns you missed before. The way she anticipated your needs, the way she encouraged growth without pressure, the way she challenged you to be better while accepting you fully as you were. And in that reflection, the truth crystallizes. She has been extraordinary all along, not in ways that scream for attention, but in ways that resonate deeply and endure. And the realization that such a presence is not common, that it is fleeting and precious, strikes with a force that cannot be ignored. There is often a sense of urgency that accompanies this moment. You feel it in your chest, in the tightening of your stomach, in the sudden awareness that time cannot be rewound, that moments cannot be retrieved. And in that urgency, you are forced to confront your own responsibility, your own awareness, your own recognition, or lack thereof. You realize that life will not pause for you to catch up, and that people like her will not wait indefinitely for you to understand their worth. This realization can be transformative because it does not just affect how you view her. It changes the way you view yourself, the way you interact with others, the way you approach life. You begin to understand the importance of noticing, appreciating, and valuing those who matter. You understand that love, care, and understanding are not commodities to be taken for granted, but gifts to be recognized and cherished. And through this recognition, you learn a deeper empathy, a deeper patience, a deeper awareness that transforms how you live every day. Ultimately, The moment of realization is a reminder that some people are irreplaceable. Their presence, their influence, their authenticity cannot be duplicated. And when you encounter someone like her, whether you hold on to that connection or let it go, you carry the lesson forward. You carry the awareness that life is fleeting, people are rare, and moments are precious. And in carrying that lesson, you honor what she has given, even if you cannot give it back in equal measure. The truth of that moment lingers long after it has arrived. It resonates in quiet spaces, in reflective pauses, in memories that suddenly feel alive. And in that resonance, you understand something fundamental. Some presences are rare, some connections are unique, and some women, like her, will enter your life only once. And when that understanding comes, it does not simply teach you. It changes you. It shapes the way you approach relationships, the way you see love, and the way you live with awareness of what truly matters. Life has a way of teaching us lessons in forms we do not always recognize at first. Sometimes those lessons are quiet, almost imperceptible, like a whisper in the middle of a busy day. Sometimes they are undeniable, like a sudden clarity that makes everything else fade into the background. And then there are lessons that linger, that do not leave you even when you try to move on. They stay with you because they are essential. They are the kind that changes the way you see the world, the way you see others, and ultimately, the way you see yourself. The lasting lesson she leaves is one of those truths that is both gentle and powerful, subtle yet unavoidable. And it begins with understanding that some people who enter your life are not there by chance. You realize that she was never ordinary. The depth of her understanding, the authenticity she carried, the subtlety of her presence, these are things that do not repeat. You can meet people who are kind, people who are beautiful, people who support you, but no one carries that combination with the precision, the quiet power, and the natural ease that she does. And once you realize it, the weight of that truth begins to settle inside you. It is a realization that the ordinary rules of life, the ordinary flow of people coming and going, do not apply to someone like her. She leaves a mark that cannot be erased, a shadow that lingers, a light that continues to illuminate the corners of your heart long after she has gone. The lasting lesson is also about responsibility. You start to understand that it is not just about noticing someone extraordinary while they are present. It is about truly valuing them, cherishing them, understanding the rare gift that they are. It is about learning to give as much as you take, to honor their presence, to recognize their impact, and to never assume that someone who truly matters will be around forever. Life does not pause, and opportunities are not guaranteed. And when you miss the chance to fully appreciate someone like her, you carry that awareness with you, not as punishment, but as guidance, as a reminder to pay attention, to be present, and to act with care and intention in every relationship. One of the most profound aspects of this lesson is that it teaches patience, not the kind of impatience we often mistake for action, but the patient understanding that people are complex, that growth takes time, and that relationships are not about rushing, controlling, or forcing. She taught this without speaking it outright, simply by existing fully and allowing you to exist fully alongside her. You learn to give space, to observe, to listen, and to honor the pace at which people live their lives. And in that, you discover a depth of respect and empathy that is impossible to cultivate through ordinary experiences. It is the kind of growth that shapes your character, reshapes your priorities, and leaves an imprint on the person you are becoming. You begin to see the importance of memory, reflection, and gratitude. It is easy to move through life taking things for granted, relationships, moments, gestures, people. But she teaches you indirectly that every interaction has weight, every word matters, every gesture counts. You remember the laughter she inspired, the comfort she offered without demanding it, the strength she lent when you were weak, the patience she showed when you were impulsive, the joy she brought to ordinary days. And in that remembering, you cultivate a kind of mindfulness, a recognition that life is fragile, people are rare, and moments are precious. This awareness does not fade, it becomes a permanent lens through which you experience the world. The lasting lesson also touches on the inevitability of change and the impermanence of human connections. She may not stay in your life in the same way forever, and that is part of what makes her presence so powerful. She teaches that the value of someone is not measured by the duration of their stay, but by the depth of their impact. You come to understand that people enter your life to teach, to challenge, to inspire, to love, and that their influence can endure even when they are no longer physically present. And that realization allows you to carry her lessons forward, to apply them to other relationships, to appreciate others with more intention, and to live in a way that honors the rare presence you once had the privilege to experience. Another part of the lesson is courage, the courage to be fully present for someone else, the courage to act, the courage to speak, the courage to love and give without reservation. She embodies this courage naturally, and through her example, you learn that life rewards honesty, authenticity, and generosity of heart. You understand that the fear of losing, the fear of being rejected, the fear of making mistakes should never prevent you from showing up fully, because those moments of courage are what make life meaningful. Her presence teaches that true strength lies not in avoidance or control, but in embracing vulnerability, being honest, and committing to the relationships that matter most. The lasting lesson is also about self-awareness. Through knowing someone extraordinary, you are forced to confront your own limitations, your own assumptions, your own blind spots. You reflect on the ways you may have been inattentive, the ways you may have failed to appreciate, the ways you may have taken things for granted. And in that reflection, you grow. You become more mindful, more considerate, more capable of love and understanding. She challenges you, not through criticism or confrontation, but simply by being a mirror of what is possible. Patience, kindness, authenticity, courage, and depth. You start to realize that people like her do not enter your life to be kept, controlled, or owned. They enter your life to awaken something within you, to show you the heights of possibility, to illuminate what it means to truly see and honor another human being. And when you finally recognize this, the lesson crystallizes into something unshakable. The value of a rare soul cannot be measured in possession, only in gratitude and understanding. You may not always get the chance to hold on to such a presence forever, but you can carry the lesson, and in doing so, it shapes every future connection, every choice, every act of love and care you offer. The lasting lesson is, in the end, about transformation. She transforms you by her existence, by her authenticity, by her subtlety, by her understanding. You are never quite the same after knowing her. You see the world differently, you value people differently, you approach relationships with more intention, more care, more awareness. And that transformation is permanent. It does not fade because it is built into the way you now perceive life, love, and human connection. She leaves behind more than memories. She leaves a framework for how to live with empathy, respect, courage, and attention. And perhaps the most profound part of this lesson is hope. Even when she is no longer physically present in your daily life, even when circumstances have separated you, even when life has moved forward, the impact of her presence offers hope, hope that extraordinary people exist, hope that connection, depth, and understanding are possible, hope that life can be lived authentically and fully, that love can be given and received without pretense. And through that hope, you are reminded that you too have the capacity to embody these qualities, to honor others as she honored you, to carry forward the rare and beautiful influence she introduced into your life. The truth of this lasting lesson settles in slowly, but it endures. It reminds you of what truly matters, what is worth cherishing, what is impossible to replicate. Some people are one of a kind, some presences are irreplaceable. And when you experience someone like her, you cannot forget it. You do not forget it. You carry it with you. In the way you act, the way you love, the way you engage with the world. She leaves behind a gift, the understanding that life is too short to take anyone for granted, and that the rarest people are treasures that should be honored while they are still present. And in carrying that lesson, you finally see what she always embodied, that the greatest impact is not in grand gestures or loud declarations, but in being true, being present, being authentic, and being willing to love and understand fully. That is the legacy she leaves. That is the lasting lesson. And once you have learned it, you live differently, you see differently, and you cherish differently because you have seen what it means to encounter someone extraordinary, and you understand that a woman like her never comes twice. So here's the truth. A woman like you doesn't come twice. She challenges, she inspires, she loves with depth. And when a man finally sees that it's more than regret, it's a wake-up call, a reminder to cherish, honor, and recognize the rare souls around him while he still can. Because one day he may look back, and all that remains are memories of someone who changed him forever. And he will understand she was once in his life, and she will never come again.